Week 3 Sunday Statement Draft. Myles Simmons, as always, you get the first pick.
Thank you very much, Mike. Let me go with the Rams, who could say, I still own you, Cardinals. And look, the Rams have been really, really, really good over the Cardinals since Sean McVay got there in 2017. They've only lost one game in that span, and they were not going to lose yesterday to those Kyler Murray-led Cardinals either. And you know what? When you look at that game, I thought the Rams did a good job of controlling it. And you play bend but don't break defense. That's what Raheem Morris's group was able to do when the Cardinals got long drives, but they were only able to get field goals out of them, or they didn't get points at all when you have your young safety, young defensive back breaking up the pass at the end of the drive on the fourth down. So I like what the Rams are putting out there. You got the fumble from Cam Akers, so that things should have been more lopsided than it was when he fumbles there on the goal line. But the Rams are solidifying themselves in the NFC West, especially after last week when I said that the 49ers would, be at the top of that division. But the 49ers and Rams play next week, and the 49ers are the Rams' bugaboo, at least in the regular season. So we'll see how that turns out.
Yes, a compelling Monday night game next week. The 49ers, an extra day to get ready, but in prime time with everyone watching and critiquing everything Jimmy Garoppolo does against the Rams. That's a great game to finish week 4. I'm going to go with a game we haven't discussed yet. And
okay,
I'll hear from the fans who feel like we didn't give their favorite team enough credit. I don't know how many Falcons fans are out there anymore, but 27-23, they get the win over the Seahawks. And Cordell Patterson, a guy who entered the league 9 years ago as a receiver, first-round pick, a project, a guy that needed some refinement, that needed some polish, and it just didn't work in Minnesota. And I remember in his 4th year, they didn't pick up the option on his rookie contract, which is an option that's available for all first-round picks, and he started doing like anything and everything they asked him to do. He was a gunner on the punt team. He was doing whatever he had to do to try to establish a foothold, and he has evolved into one of the best running backs in football. 17 carries, 141 yards, and a touchdown yesterday for the Atlanta Falcons as they get the win over Seattle. And that's a big deal. To go into Seattle and win, I don't care where the Seahawks are in their overall timeline of development. And I still don't know why Pete Carroll was trying to tell them they could be like the 1972 Dolphins back in training camp. I mean, it worked. They beat Russell Wilson, but they're 0-2 since then. And credit to the Falcons, who were up and down. And, they didn't give up against the Rams, and they blew a lead against the Saints, but they got to win. And I think they can grow and build on it. And in the NFC, it's wide open. You start stringing wins together, and all of a sudden you're going to be a potential factor, Myles.
Well, honestly, the NFC South is pretty open too. I mean, I think we all expect the Buccaneers eventually to win that division, but we were talking about it earlier in the show. The Bucs haven't scored more than 20 points in a game yet. So credit to Arthur Smith and that group for getting it done. They stayed out on the West Coast after playing that game in Los Angeles, and apparently that worked pretty well for them. So yeah, like I said, credit to them. Let me go with Dan Campbell for my next Sunday statement, and kneecaps not getting bitten off. And what I mean by that is the Lions were 4 of 6 on 4th down, and Dan Campbell had a chance to go for it late when Minnesota didn't have any more timeouts, and they would have been able to seal the win if you go for it on 4th and 4 and you make it. Instead, they tried a 54-yard field goal in order to go up by 6. It didn't work out. Then the Minnesota Vikings are able to get down the field and score with that KJ Osborne touchdown we were talking about in the last segment. And it's just one of those opportunities where if you're Dan Campbell and you've been aggressive, you talk about biting kneecaps off and all that, that's one of those situations where go and take that win, man. Go and take it. I don't think the Lions are a bad football team right now. I think that they could be in the NFC playoff picture. They're scoring a lot of points. But when you have the opportunity to go win a game like that, go win it, man. Be aggressive. Come on, Dan.
I can't help but wonder whether or not coaches who go for it on 4th down and it works, it's kind of like, a gambler at the craps table or playing blackjack. Like, you become tempted to let it ride. You become tempted. Forget about the analytics. Forget about everything. I'm feeling good. I'm hot. The dice are lucky. I'm gonna roll them again. I'm going to roll them again, regardless of the bigger picture. And that's why I'm a huge proponent of using analytics as a tool that gets considered along with every other factor. And this is where experience comes into play. And Dan Campbell learned something yesterday. And maybe the next time he's in a situation like that where it's been working, 4 out of 5 so far going for it on 4th down, maybe I exercise discretion and restraint this time. Right, we mentioned the Jaguars earlier. We have to mention them again. Trevor Lawrence becoming exactly what the Jaguars hoped he would be as the first overall pick in the 2021 draft. He had that game week 18 last year where the Colts were trying to get in the playoffs. The Jaguars were just trying to pack it up and go home. He rose up in that moment. Peter King wrote about it in Football Morning in America at the time. And Lawrence has just gotten better and better. He's maturing before our eyes. But that is a statement. To go to L.A. to take on a Chargers team that plenty of people thought was good enough to get to the postseason this year and win 38-10. 38-10. I know Justin Herbert was banged up. I know, blah, blah, blah. 38-10 is an ass-kicking under any standard. And for Trevor Lawrence to lead that team, that just gives the Jaguars a lift. And I wonder how long it's going to last that their opponents are going to look at those uniforms and say, oh, they're just the Jaguars. At some point, they become a measuring stick team. And they're fine, I assume, with being overlooked. But at some point, people are going to wake up and say the Jaguars are pretty damn good, Myles.
Yeah, they should. And, one other postscript from that game, what was Justin Herbert doing in there with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter? I understand Brandon Staley that he wants to stay in the game, but you're the head coach. Get him the hell out of there. Last Sunday's statement from me, I'll say Matt Ryan, who, we were trying to say should go to the glue factory, maybe early. Well, someone said it on Twitter last week, but he came back and he got that thing done. And, there were points in that game that we mentioned earlier. The Chiefs really should have won it. The Chiefs should have been able to take it, but they didn't. They allowed the Colts to stay in the game. And Matt Ryan found the rookie Woods in the end zone, and he was able to bring the Colts all the way back. Big win for them.
Yeah, impressive outing all around for the Colts and for Matt Ryan. I'll go Khalil Herbert with my last one. A guy who got more opportunities yesterday because David Montgomery was banged up. But the Bears, quietly 2-1. Yeah, it's just the Texans, but they've beaten the 49ers. They've beaten the Texans. They're 2-0 at home. Justin Fields wasn't great, but you don't need to be great. If Khalil Herbert's going to come off the bench and gain 157 rushing yards and a couple of touchdowns as you kind of grind it out and get the win against the Houston Texans. And then the Bears are a team, all these wins in September, especially for a young team, these wins in September get the players to buy in to the new program, and off the Bears go. And Herbert may be a guy that continues to do what he did on Sunday. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.